What's up, everybody? I'm coming to you guys with a different type of video. What I'm going to be talking about is something that I've been wanting to talk about for so long, um, because I've always been the type of person, like looking back since I was a kid, I've always been the type of person that wanted to understand why people are certain ways. You know what I'm saying? To always have a deeper, you know, view into why things are the way they are. You know, even when it comes to family dynamics, when it comes to romantic relationships, when it comes to the way that, people treat us or we treat them, I've always wanted to know why. I've always, had that thing in me. And now so more because I've you know, I'm woke, of course this becomes even more of a thing for me, if that makes sense. Um, so you guys, I don't know if y'all, for the ones who've been, watching me for a while, I don't know if you guys ever saw that video I did when I was talking about narcissism. This was probably like almost a year ago. But in the video, we know for the most part as a collective that narcissists are the people we really don't want to have any connection with, but those are the people who tend to teach us the most lessons, right? When we talk about, if you're an empath, which most likely if you're watching me, you're an empath. So if you're an empath and you've been in a karmic and if you know what a karmic relationship is, then you kind of have some inner understanding, I would assume, about what a narcissist is, right? So in this video that I made a year ago, I talked about narcissism, but I didn't talk about it how a lot of people talk about narcissism. I talked about it in a way of trying to over and understand why people become narcissists. You know what I'm saying? Because we are born innocent. You know what I'm saying? Due to nurturing, the people that are around us, the people that raise us, what we're exposed to, those types of things. That is what develops us. That's what makes us into who we are. You understand what I'm saying? But this is my perspective. I'm not a licensed doctor, a licensed therapist, a licensed psychologist. This is just me, okay? So I've just always wanted to understand the depths, and now so more of anything, right? So when we talk about generational curses, right? I used to think generational curses meant an actual curse, that someone puts, somebody who has high spiritual rank, and so they can put some type of curse through your generational line, whereas that does happen, but a generational curse is something that travels down like a pattern of behavior that travels down from one generation to the next, right? And so now that I know that, I see generational curses in my bloodline, in my family, right? And, it's about getting to the root of the cause and fixing it, right? Eliminating that, healing through that, so these things won't affect any more generations, like our future generations to come, right? So, for instance, let's just throw it out there. Like, if you come from a family where men cheat anyway, right? But let's say you come from where men cheat, like, but they have offspring, right? This has happened with several people, right, in your family. Then that's a generational curse. Like when your great-grandfather, your grandfather, maybe your father or yourself or something like that, maybe not you, but just people do it, you know what I'm saying? Or if you come from a family where the women were wholeheartedly 100% dependent upon their husbands and the men that they were with, and they tend to not really have an identity of their own because they put everything into their families, their husbands, their you know what I'm saying, their domestic life, and then they have no life outside of the family that they have built. That's not healthy. That's generational curse. If you have a family where, you know, it's always arguments. Every time people get around each other, you know what I'm saying, they tend to argue. It's toxic. Nobody respects each other's opinions. It's always, I'm going to one up you. I'm going to talk over you. Your opinion doesn't count. What do you know? What are you doing in your life? That type of energy, and it's been carried down as a generational curse. You understand what I'm saying? Control. Needing to have control over every person in your life that has come from you. So meaning children, meaning a spouse, you know, that's a generational curse. Needing, you know, staying with a person who has hurt you so much, but staying with them because you're dependent on them. You have a codependency issue. And when you're with this person, when you know, after they've done you so wrong and you stay with them, and then you have this thing where you have to control everything and you have to make them pay back, and you want to be vindictive and you want to hurt them, and that type of thing. That's generational curses, you guys. Anything that's negative that passes down from one generation to the next, that is a generational curse. Okay? When we talk about narcissists, I don't know. There's a YouTuber. I'm gonna have to find him, his name and link, and I'll link it down below. But I watched his video, and I think I said this originally. I watched this video months ago, where he gave a brief explanation of how a narcissist is developed, basically. And what he said is that narcissists are developed when in their formative years, when they're growing up, right? And there are things that they don't receive as a child. So whether it be touch, you know, being affectionate. Some parents aren't affectionate. That's something, if you're not an affectionate parent, I would advise you strongly to work on that, to strengthen that. That's no judgment from me, but that's just what I would want to tell you. If you're not a parent who tells their kids, I love you, start doing it. Because 9 times out of 10, of course, if you are not telling your kids that you love them and you're not being affectionate and it makes you uncomfortable, it's because that was your reality when you were growing up. Nobody, you know, that's just what it was, you know, generational curse, you get it? So like a narcissist, you know, that grows up, you know, without affection. I mean, not narcissists, and when they're a child, you know, they're not, I mean, you know, they grow up to become a narcissist. But, you know, this is one way. So it's like they don't receive that affection. Their parents telling them they love them. Their parents giving them things instead of affection and love and emotions and those types of things, right? Then they search and they feel entitled to receive that from other people when they get older. You know what I'm saying? It's like a demanding energy, right? Or if they were raised around people in an environment that wasn't the best. I mean, nobody is a perfect parent. But when you're conscious of the fact that you're raising kids, you do the best you can. And you're more likely to raise a more productive, healthy child that becomes an adult. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to somebody who feels entitled or don't feel like they need to pay their dues, or they don't feel like they need to take care of their responsibilities, or they don't feel accountable for their actions because they're seeing things that develop who they are that aren't good. You know what I'm saying? Even though they'll have good qualities. Don't get it twisted, okay? They'll have good qualities. There's different type of narcissists. So they have different qualities, and not all of them are evil. So I just feel like it needs to be a pullback on people talking about, if you're not going to get to the root of why people are the way they are, and I'm not saying you have to have a sympathetic or empathetic heart towards people. If somebody is not good for you and they're a narcissist and they're toxic as fuck for you, then you immediately have to cut them off. If somebody showed you red flags and you know what they are, then you cut them off. But what I'm saying is, if people keep putting the narrative out there that they're horrible, they this and that, yeah, they are. But a lot of people who aren't narcissists have narcissistic tendencies in their behaviors at times. Trust me, I'm not a narcissist, but I did have narcissistic energy that came from somebody else. because there was an exchange of energy of me being around this person. Do you understand and understand what I'm saying? So it needs to be an accountability on our part to not place so much emphasis on a narcissist. If a motherfucker is around you and they're a narcissist and you know this and they're not good for you, then don't cut them off. Why are we still engaging in this kind of conversation? Like, cut them off. Period. It's up to you. It's your platform. It's your free will to explore and talk about the signs and the symptoms of them. But I'm just saying, I'm giving you guys a different perspective to come from and to see why people are the way they are. Because if somebody labeled me and said, because I've healed, I've done so much healing, and there's things that I still have to work on within myself. But if a motherfucker labeled me and said, this person, 2 or 3 years ago before I started my journey, this person is incapable of healing, I mean, that's crazy. So people who say that narcissists aren't capable of healing those types of qualities, depending whether they're a malignant narcissist, a covert narcissist, whatever, and they're saying that you can't heal, well, you know what I'm saying, placing that type of energy on a situation to say a person can't heal, I think that's not good. I feel like if somebody is really dedicated to the idea of becoming a better version of themselves, after people have, let them know, people that actually love them have let them know, like, you have these qualities, this is how you are. It may not be a high percentage of people who are narcs who decide to heal, but it is possible. I would never let nobody hem me up in a box and tell me or put the narrative out there that I couldn't heal, because I came from an energy of not loving myself, not having no boundaries, letting people walk all over me, not taking care of myself health-wise, not tapping into my spirituality, not tapping into the goddess that I am, not realizing that, letting people treat me like crumbs, letting people project their bullshit onto me. Like, this is what I used to be, and I am none of those things anymore. So you can't tell somebody that, I don't care, like, even if you're an expert in this field, I'm an expert in spirituality. And so if a person really operates in the frequency of healing and divine power, and they just may have the assistance of a spirit team, i.e. their spirit guides, their ancestors, their ascended masters, who are you to tell somebody or put a narrative that they can't heal? That's interesting. Would nobody be able to hit me up in a box like that? Because I'm the type of person, I'm gonna prove you wrong. If you say I can't, I'm gonna show you I can. Period, and point blank. I'm gonna execute my power. You guys know I always operate from an energy of transparency. If you watch me and you understand my frequency and you're on the same, then you know this. But I was raised with a parent who most definitely was a narcissist. They were. And I went through, in my healing journey, went through a period where, and I'm still, I had children with a narcissist. I had to get into a place of going through the emotions of hurt, pain, because of certain ways I was treated. And then I had to go through healing, because you can't stay in the pain of what somebody does to you. You have to heal. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. How long are you going to sit there and be like, this person hurt me, this person did this, that, and the third? How long are you going to sit there? How long are you going to stay there? How long are you going to feel comfortable being in that energy? Or are you interested in healing? If you're interested in healing, come to me. I got you. I'll give you the tools. I'll draw you out a map. But I can't take it away from you. I can't take that pain. You have to make up the conscious decision to want to do that. to be honest, y'all want me to be completely honest and transparent? Y'all, I've had several people in my life in general who were narcissists or had qualities of a narcissist. More than one person, more than 2 people, more than 3 people, more than 4 people, more than 5 people. And look at me. I'm strong. And when I say look at me, I'm talking about my inner strength for those that can see deep. Do you understand? Do you overstand? Do you understand this? We have to break down the conditioning of toxic parenting, of toxic rearing, of raising families and loved ones and our children and nieces and nephews and grandchildren in toxic environments. We have to heal so we can appropriately and effectively raise our babies. For those who don't have children yet or planning to have kids, this is when you step in. If you know that you are someone who was raised by, people who were toxic because due to their conditioning, due to things in their past, then you need to come into the energy of wanting to heal so you will not pass down those things to your babies. Those conditionings, those traits, those generational curses. It's time to cut it. It's time to clear that shit out, you guys. For real, it's time, you guys. It's a massive shift out here in the world, in the planet, for the universe. Do you guys feel it? I'm pretty sure you guys feel it. So we have to start operating in a higher frequency, right? We have to stop. If we are in an energy of wanting to, get to the place where we are getting into the new version of ourselves, the best version of ourselves, right? We have to start operating in that vibration. We have to stop being spiritually lazy. In my opinion, without spirituality, nothing's going to happen the way you want it to happen. And that's just me. That's just my opinion, like I said in the beginning of the video, okay? It's time to chip down those walls. And I'm offering my services, my gifts to the collective. If you are someone where this video resonates for you and you have been raised or you were raised in that, you know what I'm saying? Like where it was toxic, where it was narcissist, those types of things, where everything that you did and said had to be controlled, where your opinion didn't matter, where you weren't taught to love yourself, where you weren't given affection, where you weren't told, I love you. And let me tell you something real quick. This is no judgment for nobody. I'm a parent. I've been a parent for almost 19 years. And I have been checked by my daughter several times on stuff. I have checked myself several times. I've done shadow work. I've done all of this stuff. Okay? And me and my daughter relationship has went through more than one transformation. Okay? So I'm telling you, if certain things, if this resonates for you, then you'll know. And if you need assistance with healing certain things with yourself to break those generations, because you're not responsible for anyone else's healing. You're responsible for your healing. And if you are tired and really truly want to heal and that's what you want, I got you, okay? I got you. Peace, you guys. Love you guys. I hope you guys understand where I was coming from in this video, okay? Peace. Love y'all.